Well, yeah, definitely. And there's just, you know, blobbing your infantry like that, just you're making the same mistake the German infantry are doing, and you know, it's just so nasty. It's like they did so many strafing runs to try and defeat the Germans' blob, but the Germans' blob would always survive the attack, and then their blob would just get smashed to pieces with Stuka already, and there's not much the British can do against that.
Well, they could have countered it with 25-pounder artillery fire.
Oh, yeah.
It could have helped them.
That definitely would have helped, but you know what? They never thought to build any of it, especially when there was a lull in the fighting. You know, that really would have forced the Germans' hand right there. But they did utilize a nice strat when they killed the Yogg, though. Lured him into a kill box when he got greedy trying to kill one Firefly. Got totally flanked and raped.
Yeah, that part was great.
And the Germans never thought to bring the carcass back.
There's nothing they couldn't have done it. I mean, they tried to bring back the Tiger, and ultimately probably would bring back the Yogg, but unfortunately, the triple vet recoilless rifle squad made sure that was not to be. Killed that poor bird in one volley.
Yeah, there's one thing I would like to say. I would like to say, first of all, the the Americans needed to. I don't know. It's hard for me to say what the Americans and the British should have done. Well, other than, you know, what we've already somewhat already said. What do you think the Americans should have done?
I'm not sure there was much they could have done. They were doing everything correctly, at least in my view. They had riflemen to, you know, deal with anti-infantry. They had the airborne to deal with recoilless rifles and AT guns to, you know, to deal with the general AT and whatnot. Otherwise, maybe a croc would have helped. Probably not. I'm not sure. But I do think that the British should have stepped up the ball and brought up a 25-pounder to bear.
Yeah. That's the problem with going double airborne trees, is that you're totally reliant on your infantry to save the day. But, you know, I think the whole strategy in mind was, you know, you have the American airborne with recoilless rifles to deal with tanks, and then you have the British airborne to deal with infantry. Unfortunately, that didn't work out too well, despite, you know, the nice intentions of it. And that was simply because... Well,
yeah, they had the right idea. But the one thing that came down to was they had no form of artillery other than strafing runs and bombing runs. And their own off-map artillery.
So it just goes to show you that having aerial superiority is moot when the ground forces can't do jack squat.
Exactly.
So basically, yeah, ground-based artillery should have been much more of a help. And I really think Royal Scots would have been just devastating to the Germans if they had those, because those emplacements are just so ridiculous, you know.
That's true. I mean, the only times you saw any abilities being used by the British was probably when they bring out the Commandos, and the one time they used the glider to kill a sniper. I didn't understand that, and I still don't. They tried to land the glider right on the sniper. Probably would have been overkill, but it didn't happen, so...
Also, maybe if this had been earlier in the game, I see a lot of machine guns and mortars in the American base. Maybe if they had brought those a little bit to bear, maybe earlier in the game, that could have definitely helped, because I didn't really see one mortar from the Americans, and very little MGs as well.
That could have done something, because...
Yeah, that might have helped.
I would say the mortars are certainly certainly underestimated piece of equipment, because mortars can easily dislodge enemy troops, and you know they do seem to be pretty effective against blobs when they're stuck. You know, when they're pinned down by other units. So yeah, it's probably due to micro constraints. Maybe he just didn't want to deal with the micro that was required to deal with mortars. That's highly unfortunate for him. Yeah, certainly. I mean, they had the artillery means. It's just the problem is using such heavy munitions, artillery abilities. You only have a few shots at it, maybe. And you know, the Germans, they get the Stukas. They pay their fee of 150 per, you know, Stuka, and they get theirs all the time.
Exactly. I mean, it wouldn't have been too hard, especially in the lowland fighting, like I said. It wouldn't have been too hard to put down at least one 25-pounder to counter battery the Stukas.
Oh yeah, that would have wreaked havoc.
I mean, at least with the on-map artillery, you can fire into the fog of war. Their other abilities could not do that.
So yeah, what sort of it's like? What doctrine choices would you have liked to have seen from the Brits and Yanks?
Well, the Yanks were doing pretty good at one point. I mean, we have a triple vet recoilless rifle squad, so he was doing okay. I could have, well, with the British, it would have been nice to probably see a different doctrine tree other than Royal Commandos. Maybe Royal Scots, or maybe Royal Canadian Artillery.
Indeed. So,
this Royal Scots, you could actually utilize the all the Fireflies he was making. You can actually utilize them as mobile AT emplacements. And they'd be a little bit more tougher when they're hulled down.
Yeah, locked down tanks such as the Firefly can be just so brutal. They could have easily just held back most, if not all, of the vehicles they were bringing to bear. I mean, there were still those Stukas, but I think it might have helped a little bit more as well.
yeah, and
Well, like I said, the 25-pounder would have been nice to counter battery. So.
note, he never put any sort of spotter on his tanks either.
That's true. He never did he? He had munitions floating out the ass.
And he overlooks to upgrade them with extended sight range. That's kind of silly, because the Firefly gets such an extended range when you upgrade it with one of those. So that's another mistake. Well, anyway, I think that it's much as we can to pick this apart a little bit. So this has been OSC casting team saying that's all we can do for now, and it's a shame that once again the Allies didn't come through for the Gipper this time. Hopefully in the future we'll see some more Allies, some more Allied victories. Even though I am a German player, I know it's not fair to Allied listeners who prefer the Allies to watch their favorite faction get always raped. So we'll consider that most definitely. And on that, I think that's about it. So, shall we wrap this up?
Indeed. I got nothing else to say right now.
Me either.
Alright, this has been Hellfox from the OSC Vidcasting team. Thank you all of you for watching / listening, and hope the Allies have better luck next time. Feel free to say goodbye anytime, fellas.
Good
Good night.
See ya.